My fiancé made a shocking revelation about our twins, and I wasn't prepared for it. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. I always thought the happiest moment of my life was the day our twins were born. I remember pacing the hospital hallway, terrified and ecstatic all at once, until I heard those first cries. Two tiny lives, two perfect souls placed in my arms. I cried harder than I ever had before, overwhelmed by the thought that we had created a family together. I looked at my fiancée, Emily, and she was smiling through tears too. In that moment, I believed in forever. But forever has a cruel way of unraveling. The confession came out of nowhere, years later. We were in our kitchen on a quiet Sunday morning. The twins were playing in the living room, their laughter floating in like sunshine. I was sipping coffee, flipping through bills, when Emily's voice cut through the calm. "There's something I need to tell you," she said. Her tone was sharp, deliberate, the kind that makes your stomach drop before the words even land. I set down my mug. "What's wrong?" She wouldn't meet my eyes. Instead, she twisted her ring, over and over, her knuckles white. "The twins, they're not entirely yours." For a moment, I thought I misheard. "What?" I laughed nervously, waiting for her to smirk, to say it was a joke in poor taste. But her face was pale, her lips trembling. "They're not both yours," she repeated, her voice cracking. "Only one of them." My chest constricted, the world tilting sideways. I looked toward the living room where our children were stacking blocks, oblivious to the bomb that had just detonated in their father's chest. My throat went dry. "What the hell are you talking about, Emily?" She finally looked at me then, and the guilt in her eyes was unmistakable. "I made a mistake," she whispered. My hands shook as rage and disbelief surged through me. "A mistake? Our family, our entire lives, built on a mistake?" I pushed back from the table so hard the chair screeched against the floor. The twins' laughter stopped, replaced by silence. My vision blurred with tears and fury as Emily whispered the words that shattered everything. "It wasn't just once. And he knows about the twins." The name didn't leave her lips that morning, but it didn't have to. The way she said he knows was enough to rip through me like glass. My mind raced, clawing through memories, faces, timelines, trying to make sense of the impossible. I stood frozen, watching Emily wring her hands like a guilty teenager caught sneaking in past curfew. Only this wasn't curfew. This was my family, my life, my children. Finally, words burst out of me. "Who is he?" Emily flinched. Her silence was louder than any scream. She tried to reach for me, but I jerked back like her touch was poison. "Don't," I spat. "Don't you dare." Her eyes shimmered with tears. It was before we got serious. I didn't think it mattered, and then I found out I was pregnant. She broke off, pressing her palms to her face. "I didn't know which one was yours. I didn't want to lose you." Her explanation was a knife twisted deeper. Before we got serious, we'd been planning a wedding, naming babies, choosing cribs, and she was lying the whole time. I felt my chest heave, my pulse hammering in my ears. My eyes flicked to the living room where the twins were playing quietly again, stacking blocks as if their world hadn't just shattered with mine. I didn't even know which child was mine. The thought nearly made me collapse. "Answer me," I growled. "Who is he?" Emily's lips parted, but before she could speak, a notification pinged on her phone. She went pale. My instincts flared, and I snatched it from the table before she could react. The screen lit up with a message from an unsaved number. "We need to talk about our son. You can't hide this forever." My hands went cold. My knees almost buckled beneath me. So it wasn't just a mistake. It was an ongoing secret. I looked at Emily, her face drained of all color. And in that moment, I realized something far worse than betrayal. This man wasn't gone. He was still in our lives, lurking, waiting. The words on that screen seared into me like fire. Our son. Not the child, not the boy, but our son. My grip on the phone tightened until my knuckles turned white. Emily lunged forward, panic in her eyes. "Please, don't." I pulled back, shoving the phone into my pocket. "Who is he?" My voice shook, not from weakness but from the storm building inside me. She sank into the chair, shoulders trembling. "His name is Ryan. We were seeing each other right before you, and I got back together seriously. When I found out I was pregnant, I thought it was yours. I prayed it was yours. But when the twins were born," she broke off, choking on her words. I leaned against the counter, trying not to collapse under the weight of it. Ryan, the faceless ghost who suddenly had flesh, blood, and a claim to my child. You were going to tell me when exactly? I demanded. After the wedding? After 20 years of lies? Her silence was answer enough. The twins giggled from the living room, oblivious to the wreckage crashing through their parents. I forced myself not to look. It was unbearable, seeing two perfect faces and not knowing which one carried my blood. I pulled out her phone again, scrolling through the thread with shaking hands. There were dozens of messages. Ryan wasn't just some shadow from her past. He'd been contacting her for months. He deserves to know me. You can't shut me out. This is half my life, too. Each text punched me harder than the last. You've been lying to me every single day, I said, my voice raw. And you've been lying to him, too. Emily stood, tears streaming. I was trying to protect us. To protect you. To protect them. But her words were hollow. My world tilted again when her phone buzzed once more. Another message from Ryan. If you won't tell him, I will. Tonight. I stared at Emily, my rage boiling into something darker. She opened her mouth to speak, but all I heard was the sound of glass shattering inside me. Because tonight, my entire life was about to explode. That night, I couldn't sit still. Every creak of the house felt like a countdown. Emily tried to soothe me, her words soft and pleading, but I couldn't even look at her. The air between us was poisoned. I replayed the message in my head. If you won't tell him, I will. Tonight. Where does he live? I demanded finally. Emily froze. Please don't. Where? My voice thundered through the kitchen, making her flinch. Her lips trembled. On Ashford Street. Apartment 3B. I grabbed my keys. Don't go, she cried, clutching my arm. If you confront him, he'll use it against you. He'll. I yanked free. He already has. The drive across town blurred, headlights streaking past as my hands clenched the wheel. My heart pounded with rage and fear, but beneath it all was one unbearable question. Which twin was his? Ashford Street was a rundown block, buzzing neon signs flickering over cracked sidewalks. I found 3B and pounded on the door. It opened slowly, and there he was. Ryan, taller than me, with sharp cheekbones and tired eyes. He didn't look surprised. He looked smug. You must be him, he said calmly. The fiancé. The stand-in. I shoved past him into the apartment. Which one? I demanded. He closed the door casually, leaning against it. Which one what? Which? Child. My fists shook at my sides. A slow smile spread across his face, cruel and deliberate. The boy. You look at him, don't you? You see me. My blood runs in his veins, not yours. The room spun. My chest ached like it might cave in. I thought of my son, my little boy who hugged me every night, who called me daddy. And now this stranger dared to claim him. Ryan stepped closer, lowering his voice. Emily lied to you. But she lied to me too. And now, you'll pay for both. My blood turned to ice. What the hell do you mean by that? His smile widened as he whispered. She promised me more than just a child. His words coiled around me like a snake. She promised me more than just a child. My fists clenched until my nails dug into my palms. What promise? I spat. Ryan's smirk didn't waver. He walked to the counter, picked up a half-empty glass of whiskey, and swirled it lazily. Emily told me she'd leave you once the twins were born, that we'd raise them together as a real family. She said you were temporary, just stability until she figured things out. My stomach turned. The image of Emily in the delivery room, tears streaming as she handed me our newborns, replayed in my mind. I thought those were tears of joy. Were they guilt? Or worse, lies? You're full of it, I snapped, though my voice betrayed the tremor inside me. He chuckled darkly. Am I? Think about it. Why else would she hide this for so long? She didn't want you walking away before she was ready. She wanted options. His words slithered into every crack in my mind, feeding doubt I didn't want to admit was already there. Little moments resurfaced. The way Emily avoided talking about the future sometimes. The way she shut down whenever I mentioned DNA tests, just for fun. Back then, I brushed it off. Now it burned like acid. I stepped closer, jaw tight. If you ever come near my kids. Our kid, he interrupted, pointing his glass at me. Don't forget that. Rage surged through me, and I nearly swung at him. But then my phone buzzed. I pulled it out, and my blood froze. A text from Emily. Please come home. We need to talk before it's too late. I looked up, and Ryan was still smirking, like he knew exactly what message had just arrived. Go on, he said smoothly. Run back to her. But sooner or later, you'll realize she already chose me. My chest tightened. I stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. The drive home was a blur, fury and despair crashing inside me. But when I stepped through the front door, the house was silent. Too silent. Emily, I called out. No answer. The twins' toys were scattered across the floor, the TV still humming. But Emily was gone. And on the kitchen table, a folded note waited with my name scrawled across it. My hands shook as I unfolded the paper, the sound of it tearing at my nerves louder than the ticking clock on the wall. Emily's handwriting, rushed, uneven, sprawled across the page. I'm sorry. I never wanted it to get this far. The truth will destroy everything, but keeping it hidden is worse. I need time to think. Don't come looking for me. Time to think. After detonating my life like this, I slammed the note onto the table, my chest heaving. My fiancée, the woman I trusted with my heart, with my future, with our children, had just walked out, leaving me drowning in betrayal. I checked every room in the house like a madman, calling her name, half hoping she'd jump out and tell me it was a twisted prank. But the bedroom closet was half empty, drawers pulled open, a suitcase missing. She'd planned this. The twins were asleep upstairs, their small breaths a fragile reminder of what still anchored me. I sat outside their room, head in my hands, asking myself questions I couldn't bear to answer. Which one of them is mine? Which one isn't? And if Emily was with Ryan all this time, did she ever really love me? My phone buzzed. Another text, this time from an unknown number. My stomach dropped. She came to me. Don't wait up. Ryan. I nearly crushed the phone in my hand. Every instinct screamed to drive back to his apartment, drag Emily out, demand the truth. But I couldn't leave the twins alone. I was trapped in my own house, powerless, while she ran into the arms of the man who claimed my son. I stumbled back to the kitchen, rage boiling through me. That's when I noticed something else on the table, tucked under the note. A folded piece of paper with hospital letterhead. I pulled it open. My vision blurred as I read the words. A paternity test, dated only a month after the twins were born. And at the bottom, 2 results. One said excluded as father. The other said confirmed biological father. I dropped into a chair, the paper shaking in my hands. She'd known all along. She'd carried this secret for years. And the cruelest part? She'd decided which truth to keep and which one to bury. I must have read that sheet 100 times, hoping the words would rearrange themselves into something else. But they didn't. Black and white, clinical, undeniable. One twin was mine. The other wasn't. The paper felt heavier than steel in my hands. My little girl, or my little boy, wasn't mine by blood. And Emily had known all along. My breath hitched. Every memory I had with them replayed like cruel film reels. First steps, first words, nights I stayed up with fevers, mornings I carried them on my shoulders. I hadn't once thought, this one is mine, this one isn't. They were both my children. Both. But now Emily's secret had poisoned even that. I stormed into the living room, gripping the test. The twins' toys were scattered across the floor, one block tower half-built, left in the middle of their game. I sank to my knees, staring at it. Who did this? Who stacked these pieces, laughed in this room, hugged me with sticky fingers? Which one carried Ryan's blood? Tears blurred my vision, but fury pushed them back. I called Emily. Straight to voicemail. Again. Nothing. Finally, I texted. I found the test. You knew. Come home now. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. My chest caved in. She was reading, but she wasn't answering. Then another text came through, but not from her. From Ryan. Now you see the truth. She belongs with me. And so does our son. Rage exploded inside me. I wanted to drive to Ashford Street, break down his door, and rip him apart. But then I heard it, a soft whimper from upstairs. The twins. I climbed the stairs slowly, forcing air into my lungs. They were asleep, curled into each other like mirror images, peaceful in a way I couldn't be. I stood there in the doorway, my chest burning with love and grief. Blood didn't matter. They were mine. Both of them. But as I pulled the door shut, my phone buzzed again. A new message. This time from Emily. Please, don't do anything. There are things you still don't know. My knees nearly buckled. Things I still don't know? After all this, I stared at the glowing screen, the words echoing like thunder. If the test wasn't the whole truth, what else was she hiding? I sat in the dark kitchen, the glow of Emily's message burning into my eyes. There are things you still don't know. My hands trembled over the screen, torn between fury and the desperate need for answers. I typed back, "Then tell me." Now. No reply. Just silence. The kind that makes your chest feel hollow. I poured myself a glass of water, but it shook so badly in my hand it spilled onto the counter. My whole world had become a maze of lies. First the twins, then Ryan, then the test she'd hidden, and now more secrets? I couldn't sit still. I opened the drawer where Emily kept loose papers, searching for anything. Bills, old mail, receipts. And then I found it. An envelope tucked behind a stack of old magazines. Hospital records. Not the paternity test. I already had that. This was different. My throat went dry as I unfolded the papers. It wasn't about who the father was. It was about the pregnancy itself. There had been complications. Notes scribbled by doctors. Words like selective IVF attempt and embryo transfer. My mind reeled. IVF? She had never told me anything about that. I flipped through the papers, my hands shaking harder with each page. It wasn't just about Ryan. There was another name. Another man. A donor. My head spun. Was one of my children conceived through IVF? Did Emily use Ryan? Or did she use someone else and lie to both of us? My phone buzzed. Another message from her. "You're going to hate me. But the truth isn't what you think. Please wait until I come home. Don't trust Ryan." Don't trust Ryan? My chest tightened. He'd been so sure, so smug when he said the boy was his. But what if that was part of the manipulation? What if he didn't even know the full truth himself? I slumped into the chair, clutching the papers, feeling like the floor beneath me had collapsed. Ryan's words, Emily's lies, the hospital files, all circling in my head like vultures. Then another buzz, this time from an unknown number. He's not the only one she lied to. "Meet me tomorrow, noon, at the hospital archives. I'll show you everything." No name, no explanation, just that. And suddenly, I realized Emily wasn't the only one keeping secrets. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with the hospital papers spread in front of me, my phone clutched in my hand like a weapon. That anonymous text replayed in my mind. He's not the only one she lied to. "Meet me tomorrow, noon, at the hospital archives. I'll show you everything." My first thought was trap. Ryan? Maybe he wanted to lure me out, away from the twins. But the wording felt different. Desperate. Urgent. Someone who knew more than they should. By morning, I had made up my mind. I couldn't ignore it. If Emily wasn't going to give me the truth, then I'd find it myself, even if it destroyed me. I arranged for my sister to watch the twins for the afternoon. She asked if everything was okay. I lied through clenched teeth and said yes. I kissed my kids goodbye, forcing a smile, and drove straight to the hospital archives. The building was gray, nondescript, the kind of place no one notices. Noon came, and I waited outside, my heart hammering. At first, no one came. My mind screamed that I'd been duped. Then a woman in a lab coat approached, her face tense, her eyes darting nervously. "You're him?" she asked softly. "Who are you?" I demanded. "My name's Claire. I was on the nursing team when your fiancé came in for treatment. I shouldn't even be talking to you, but I can't let this eat at me anymore." My chest tightened. "Treatment?" She nodded, lowering her voice. "Emily didn't just have complications. She came in twice, once with you and once without. The second time, she wasn't alone. She was with Ryan." Ice filled my veins. "What are you saying?" Claire glanced around, then slipped an envelope into my hands. "The files. Copies. Read them, and you'll see." Before I could ask anything else, she hurried off, disappearing around the corner like a ghost. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside were records, fertility treatments, signatures, and one note that made me drop to the curb, dizzy and sick. Dual embryo transfer requested, different donors. Different donors. Not one father. Not two. The twins didn't share the same bloodline at all. And Emily had known from day one. I sat on the curb outside the archives, the envelope heavy in my lap, my chest heaving like I'd just run for miles. The words blurred on the page, but I couldn't escape them. Dual embryo transfer requested, different donors. My world tilted. This wasn't just betrayal. It was madness. Emily hadn't just lied about Ryan. She had engineered this. 2 children. 2 fathers. A family built on deception from its very foundation. My hands shook as I sifted through the rest of the documents. Each page was another stab in the back. Signatures. Payment records. Appointments she never told me about. The dates lined up perfectly with when she had claimed she was working late or visiting her sister. I thought she was building our future. Instead, she was building a time bomb. My phone buzzed in my pocket, jolting me. A new text from Emily. Please, don't meet anyone. They're lying to you. Come home and let me explain. Too late. The papers in my hands screamed louder than her words ever could. She had built a life on half-truths and whispers, and now it was all collapsing. I drove home in a daze, the envelope on the passenger seat like a ticking bomb. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel, my thoughts ricocheting. Which twin was Ryan's? Which was the donor's? And which, if any, was truly mine? When I pulled into the driveway, Emily's car was already there. She was sitting on the porch steps, her face pale, her eyes swollen from crying. She stood when she saw me, hands clasped like she was praying. You went, didn't you? She whispered. I held up the envelope. How long were you planning to keep this from me? Forever? Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was trying to protect us. Protect us? I snapped. You shattered us before we even began. Her lips quivered. It was complicated. You don't understand. Ryan wasn't supposed to know. The other donor was anonymous. You were supposed to be their father in every way that mattered. I laughed bitterly. And what about what mattered to me, Emily? My right to the truth? She stepped closer, her voice breaking. If you walk away now, you'll ruin everything. Please, just let me fix this. I stared at her, every muscle in my body taut, when headlights swept across the driveway. A car pulled up, engine rumbling. Ryan stepped out, a dark smile on his face. And in that moment, I realized the truth wasn't just between Emily and me anymore. It was about to explode in all of our faces. The crunch of Ryan's footsteps on the gravel sent a jolt through my chest. Emily froze beside me, her face draining of color. He didn't hesitate, didn't glance at her with regret or guilt. No, he looked straight at me, like this was the moment he'd been waiting for. Well, Ryan said, smirking, looks like you finally know. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. Know what exactly? That you two turned my life into some sick experiment? Emily reached out, but I stepped back from her touch. My eyes locked on Ryan. He looked too comfortable, too smug, like he owned the ground beneath us. She told you about the test, didn't she? He said. About my son? My throat tightened. Your son? You don't even know which child is yours. None of us do. His smirk widened. Oh, I know. I've always known. Look at him, his smile, his eyes. He's mine. And no piece of paper is going to change that. Emily's voice cracked. Stop, Ryan. Please. He turned to her, sneering. Why should I? You lied to him. You lied to me. You thought you could juggle both worlds forever. But now? Now the truth's out, and it's time to choose. Choose. I snapped. You think this is some competition? These are children, not trophies. Ryan stepped closer, lowering his voice. Then be a man and step aside. You know you can't raise another man's blood. Not once the world knows. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed him by the collar, shoving him back against his car. His smirk didn't vanish, it deepened. Go ahead, he taunted. Hit me. Show her who you really are. Emily screamed, pulling at my arm, begging us both to stop. But all I saw was red. Years of lies, betrayal, and now this man daring to claim my son. Then, in the chaos, Ryan said something that froze me cold. His voice dropped to a whisper, just for me. She didn't tell you about the donor, did she? My grip loosened instantly. My heart stopped. What? Emily's face crumbled. She looked at me with wide, guilty eyes. Please, she begged, don't make me say it here. And in that silence, I realized the worst secret still hadn't been revealed. The words hung between us like a noose. The donor. My head spun. Ryan was still smirking, but Emily's face told me everything. This was deeper than even I imagined. I let Ryan's collar go, shoving him back. What the hell is he talking about, Emily? Her lips trembled. Please, not here. Not in front of him. Ryan chuckled darkly, straightening his shirt. Go on, tell him. He deserves to know whose blood is really running in his daughter's veins. My chest constricted. Daughter. The world tilted. My knees nearly buckled. Emily's tears spilled freely now. She whispered, "The girl, she isn't yours. And she isn't Ryan's either." My vision blurred. Then whose is she? Emily clasped her hands together, shaking. When we struggled to conceive, I panicked. I wanted a baby so badly. I went through IVF. I told myself it was just to make sure we'd have a family, no matter what. But I didn't tell you. I didn't tell anyone. The donor wasn't random. I stepped back, ball rising in my throat. Who? My voice cracked with rage. Who, Emily? Her sobs broke the night air. It was my ex Daniel. The name slammed into me like a wrecking ball. Daniel, the man she swore she'd cut out of her life years ago. The man I always suspected she still thought about. The man she promised was nothing. Ryan let out a cruel laugh. So, congratulations. One twin is mine, the other is Daniel's. And you? You've been playing daddy to both without a clue. I staggered, the driveway spinning beneath me. The twins' faces flashed in my mind, innocent and perfect, while the ground under my feet disintegrated. Emily reached for me, desperate. They're yours in every way that matters. You've raised them. Love them. Please, don't let biology take that away. But her words didn't soothe. They burned. Years of lies, secrets, manipulation. And now this. I turned to Ryan, whose smirk only widened. Walk away, I warned, my voice shaking. But instead, he leaned in close, whispering just loud enough for Emily to hear too. Or what? You can't erase us. We'll always be here. 2 men, 2 children, and no room left for you. Emily sobbed. My fists curled. Because in that moment, I knew the next step wouldn't be about secrets. It would be about survival. The night air felt heavy, pressing down on my chest like a weight I couldn't shake. Ryan's words echoed inside me. 2 men, 2 children, and no room left for you. Emily was sobbing, begging me to listen, but my ears rang with rage. My family, my future, had been turned into a grotesque puzzle, with Ryan and Daniel holding pieces I never knew existed. And Emily? She'd been the one orchestrating the whole damn game. Enough, I growled, my voice raw. You've both said enough. I turned to Emily. You lied to me. Every day, you robbed me of the chance to choose, to know, to be a real father from the start. She shook her head, tears streaking down her face. No, you are their father. The only one who's ever shown up, who's ever loved them. Biology doesn't change that. Ryan scoffed, stepping closer. Keep telling him that. But one of those kids will know the truth sooner or later. And when he does, he'll come looking for me. Blood calls to blood. I lunged, shoving him back so hard he hit the hood of his car. His smirk flickered, replaced with a flash of anger. Careful, he hissed. You wouldn't want the twins to see their dad in handcuffs for assault. Emily's scream split the night. Stop it. Both of you. I froze, my chest heaving. She was right about one thing, the twins. They were sleeping upstairs, innocent, unaware that their entire world was on the edge of shattering. What kind of father would I be if I let them wake up to cops in the driveway? I stepped back, trembling, my hands shaking with rage I could barely contain. My eyes locked on Emily. You have one last chance, I said, my voice low, lethal. Tomorrow, you tell me everything. No more half-truths. No more secrets. Or I walk, and you'll face this circus alone. Her face crumpled. If I tell you everything, she whispered, you'll never look at me the same way again. I swallowed hard. Then maybe you should have thought of that before lying to me. Ryan smirked again, sliding into his car. Tick-tock, he said, revving the engine. Secrets don't stay buried forever. As he drove off, Emily collapsed onto the steps, sobbing. I stood frozen in the driveway, the envelope of hospital records still burning in my pocket. Tomorrow would bring the full truth. But deep down, I knew, whatever she confessed, it might be the one thing I could never forgive. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark living room, staring at the family photos on the wall. Pictures of birthdays, Christmas mornings, messy faces smeared with cake. All smiles. All lies. I kept asking myself, which smile was mine, and which belonged to another man. By morning, Emily came downstairs. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hands trembling as she clutched a folded piece of paper. She looked at me like someone walking into her own execution. You said you wanted everything, she whispered. Here it is. I stayed seated, my fists clenched, my jaw tight. Talk. She sank onto the couch opposite me. When I found out I was pregnant, I panicked. I was scared you'd leave if the twins weren't yours. So I buried the test. I told myself it didn't matter, that love was stronger than blood. But Ryan kept pressing. And when the IVF failed the first time, her voice cracked. I went back. I asked for a dual transfer. I thought maybe if there were 2 embryos, at least one would be yours. I didn't care which. I just wanted a family with you. Her words cut deep. She hadn't just lied. She had played God with our lives. And Daniel? I asked, my voice low, dangerous. Her shoulders slumped. I knew him before you. He offered when he found out I was struggling. I was desperate, and I agreed. I never thought both embryos would take. But they did. And suddenly I had 2 babies, one tied to Ryan, one to Daniel. And you. I couldn't breathe. So you lied to 3 men. And you expect me to just what? Smile and keep raising them like nothing happened? Tears streamed down her face. Yes. Because you're the only father they've ever known. Ryan doesn't deserve them. Daniel doesn't even want to be involved. But you've been there since day one. Please, don't take yourself away from them. Don't take you away from them. Her plea stabbed at the softest part of me, the part that tucked them in at night, kissed scraped knees, whispered, I love you, when they slept. But then I remembered Ryan's smirk, his threat, his certainty that one day, one of the twins would come looking for him. And that's when I realized, this wasn't just about Emily's lies anymore. It was about protecting my children from the chaos she created. I stood, my voice cold. I'll always be their father. But you've destroyed any chance of being my wife. Her sobs filled the room, but I walked past her, the weight of my decision heavy. And as I grabbed my keys, ready to clear my head, my phone buzzed again. A new message. From Daniel. We need to talk. I can't stay out of this any longer. Daniel's name glowed on my phone screen like a ghost I never expected to face. My hands tightened around the steering wheel as I read his message again. We need to talk. I can't stay out of this any longer. I agreed to meet him that evening in a quiet park, far from Emily, far from Ryan. The winter air stung my face as I walked up to the bench where he sat, his hands clasped, his eyes heavy with something that looked less like arrogance and more like guilt. You know why I'm here, I said coldly. Daniel nodded slowly. She told you. I clenched my fists. She told me enough. That one of the twins is yours. That she dragged me into this nightmare because she couldn't stop lying. He looked away, staring at the playground in the distance where children's laughter echoed faintly. I never wanted this to happen. When she came to me, I thought I was helping her, but I should have stayed out of it. Helping her? I snapped. You destroyed me. Do you even realize what this means for the kids? For me? Daniel's jaw tightened. That's why I reached out. I've stayed silent all these years, but Ryan's not going to. He'll keep pushing. He wants control. And Emily, she's too weak to stop him. I froze, my chest burning. So what do you want from me? He sighed, shoulders slumping. I want you to keep being their father. Both of them. Because you're right. You're the one who's been there. Blood doesn't change that. But Ryan? If he gets a foothold, he'll tear those kids apart. He'll poison them. His words twisted in my gut. The man who once stole from me was now asking me to protect what little I had left. I don't want to be their dad, Daniel said quietly. Not anymore. But I had to warn you. Ryan won't stop. And Emily, she'll keep breaking if you let her back in. I stared at him for a long moment, rage and exhaustion swirling together. Then I'll do what none of you ever could. I'll protect them. From Ryan. From Emily. From you. Daniel nodded, standing. Then maybe you're stronger than the rest of us. He walked away, leaving me alone with the bitter truth. When I returned home, Emily was waiting on the porch, her face blotched from crying. Ryan's car wasn't in sight, for now. I looked at her, then at the window where my twins' shadows flickered against the curtain. I'll always be their father, I said firmly. But you and I are finished. Our wedding is off. Her knees buckled, and she crumpled, sobbing. But I didn't stay to comfort her. Not this time. I walked inside, climbed the stairs, and peeked into their room. My son and daughter were curled up, breathing softly, their tiny hands almost touching. My heart ached, but in that ache was clarity. Bloodlines were shattered. Trust was dead. But love, my love for them, was still alive. And that was enough to build a future, even if I had to build it alone.